Hello, YouTube world, and thank you for joining me again for another Interviewasaurus. My name is Kim, and today I'm joined in the studio by Heidy Villafane. Thank you very much for joining me, Heidi.
Hi, Kim. It's really good to see you.
So we are now in the very lucky situation that we're pretty much both working in their own studios.
Yeah, Home
Bedroom
Studio.
studios.
Woo!
You're down in Melbourne at the moment, so can you just give everyone who's never met you before a quick rundown of who you are and where you are now?
So I'm a lead layout artist, and then I'm at Method Studios here in Melbourne, Victoria. That's where I am now. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so you've been working with inside the industry for quite a while now. So let's go back to what really started you off actually getting into digital art, because that's where I kind of want to find out what actually got you inspired to want to chase this sort of work.
So I straight out of high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I studied like a performance arts multimedia course, and from there, I jumped into film and video. And then I studied film, and one of my lecturers was going to start a 3D animation course. And he was like, "Would you be interested in doing this private course?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" I didn't think it wasn't really a thing yet back then, but definitely, I think my story is very similar to a lot of people. Jurassic Park, all Spielberg films like The Abyss, Alien. They all came out and were very sort of inspiring. I used to like stay up at night just watching the making ofs late at night. This is in Queensland, yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up there,
Yep.
and then I did the private course for about 6 months, and then there was like with 3D Studio Max, and then the guy went bankrupt, and then it kind of left me in like hanging. It was like the last week of enrollments at TAFE, and they just had sort of started this 3D animation course. And I was like, yeah, get my showreel portfolio stuff together and put it on videotape, and then send that in. And luckily, I got in, because otherwise, I didn't know what I was going to do that year, because I thought this private course was going to keep going, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I did 3D animation at TAFE,
In
South
Queensland.
Bank Institute of TAFE.
Oh, wow, the South Bank. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. From there, because I'd already done the sort of core subjects in the film and video course,
Yep.
then I didn't have to do them, and I had more time just to work on my own stuff. I already had my computer set up from the private course, so I worked on my like showreely stuff, and then my career started as a junior animator. At a
So,
company called Light Nights, and they were doing this TV series called The Shapies.
yes.
Yeah, you might have, I don't know, you
Yeah.
might have heard of it from a few people
Yes.
back in the day. It was a lot of people's start. Um, and from there, we, so they just got me in, like, because I think I saw an advertisement in the newspaper, and then I went and I chatted to them, and they were like, okay, we'll get you in. And I think I wasn't even animating. I was just cataloging their models. I was just doing
Oh.
like front and top and side views, and um, did that for a week. And then they took me on with a few other guys for 6 weeks, and we were working the night shift. So we would clock in when the day guys would clock out. So after like 7, and then finish like the next morning,
Oh, wow. You were
because
working
they needed to
24
get these
hours.
episodes done. Yeah, but it was exciting. Like, it was my first sort of junior animation gig. I
Yep.
was animating the TV series. And then from there, Liquid Animation was starting. Well, we pretty much started the CG department at Liquid. We continued to do the Shapies
Oh.
as the vendor for Light Nights. So Light Nights was the head company, and then they were giving some episodes to Liquid and other companies around.
Ah.
Um, and yeah, and then I was at Liquid for on and off a few years, um, doing that, and then Duck Dodgers, which was a TV series where we animated the spaceships and planets exploding. Space Chase. It's kind of like Futurama, so the 3D elements.
Yep.
So that was heaps of fun. And some like Disney animation, Disney Japan sort of mobile phone animation
Was
thing.
that in their studio then at West End, the West End studio?
It was in West End, yeah, where we
Yeah.
started. And then
Yeah.
they moved to Fortitude Valley
Yep.
after that. Yeah,
Yeah.
continue to do that.
That West End studio was quite a fun place. That one, I got to walk in and through there a couple of times. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I got some good pool skills and ping pong skills from that place.
Oh, so how long were you working on and off for them?
Over 4 5 years, something
Yep.
like that.
And you're saying
Yeah,
that wasn't full time. That was only kind of like on contract for
yeah.
something, and then you'd have to go find
Mate,
something else for a bit.
I don't think I've never been on contract.
Oh,
That's the nature of the beast.
yeah. Wow.
So yeah, even when I was at Liquid, like between projects, like, and there was just a lull, like I ended up just getting like a part-time crappy job,
Yeah.
um, on purpose, like just enough to get by on my bills. But what I really wanted to do was get back into animation, and I didn't want to get a job I was going to be complacent in.
Wow.
So I was assembling. I was basically a factory worker assembling these little IVF products.
Ooh.
So these little like canister thingies, and you have to measure them out and flare them and buff them, make sure the tips weren't cracked and stuff, and make sure that they slid properly. And like, yeah, so I did that for about 6 months between like Liquid jobs, I guess, because things weren't really,
You still had to
not a
pay
lot
the
happening in
bills.
Brisbane, let's just say that. And I never quite got into the games. You know, THQ I think was there, and Pandemic I think was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't quite get into the game stuff. I stuck with the TV series stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was going to say. You were at that stage. You were just really focused on animating. You were just really getting into animation. That was
Yes,
your thing. Yeah.
that was my thing. I was definitely I want to animate and I want to bring these things to life and everything.
Oh,
Um, and yeah, and so when that ran out,
yeah. Oh, this sounds like
I
when
did
it.
some traveling in between. I went to Argentina and got family over there. And when I came back and there weren't any animator jobs, there was a previs role coming up, and I was just like, I really want to be an animator. But I was just like, okay, let's just give this a go. And that was on Animalia on the Gold Coast.
Oh, yes.
Working for the headquarters, whatever they,
Yeah.
Animalia,
Yeah.
doing previs. And then I just fell in love with previs because
Oh.
it's awesome. And I just love the animating of the camera, and then the fact that we just had to sort of block a lot of the motion in, didn't have to finesse it right to the last sort of, nuance kind of thing. I've really liked to churn through stuff.
Yep.
So I found previs was like my thing.
Yeah.
So it was really good. That was under David Scott, was directing that. So
Yep.
it was really good to watch him
Yeah.
work, and
Because that was
learned a lot
when
from him.
with the previews, but that was actually not done because that was done outside of the Warner Brothers studio, wasn't it? That was at the front of the studio where the previews was done.
It was on the lot, but it was not. Yeah, Photon was behind, and we were in the I don't know, shipping container area, like offices. I don't know.
Yeah,
We weren't far.
yeah, but it was only a small
Yeah.
team that was actually doing that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember how many of us there were, but eight,
yeah.
maybe.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So that got you introduced. That was your first foray into the layout department then. Ah.
Layout previs,
Layout
yeah.
previous. Yep. So you picked up that you really enjoyed churning stuff out. That was what I liked about previs as well, is just how quickly you have to iterate stuff, and you don't have to spend time actually going between knuckles on fingers to make sure that
Yeah,
they all.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But but yeah. So did that then? Once that ended, because that was about a 2 year. I think most people ended up working about 2 years on Animalia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did,
Something
so
like that.
so did you hang around Brisbane then, or did you actually start?
No, after Animalia, then David Scott pretty much hooked us up with a job through Rising Sun Pictures when they were in Sydney on X-Men Origins Wolverine in the previs department for that. So we were on that for a few months and a couple of other little projects we were thrown on. There was a few hiccups and we got to work on Harry Potter and Speed Racer as well.
Yep. So were you then finding much of a difference between going from a fully CG animated film, which was the Animalia series, then going on to the feature films, which were then live action plates?
We weren't working with live action plates. We were basically prevising the story. So they hadn't actually, previs was really different in the feature, like on a feature, because we got to make up the story and we were like, oh, look at this amazing fight sequence. And then they were like, we don't have the money for that. And then they'll like cut it back down. It's like, how about this? And then I was like, we don't have the money for that. Cut it down. And then it was like super simplified. And they were like, and that's what they shot. So it was definitely developing the story through previs before they locked it in what they wanted to shoot. And then they would know how much of the set that they needed to build. That big fight between Wolverine and Deadpool on top of the nuclear tower and stuff like that. They just, needed to know how much room they had to fight on, and then the rest was green screen kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's really interesting. I love working at the front end because you're working usually a lot closer with the director who's actually saying, look, I really just want to see this action that's happening. Were you getting that as well when you were doing the films? Were you getting to work with the director a lot about what they wanted to capture?
He wasn't working with us on set, but our VFX suit or the CG suit, I can't remember what his name, but Jared, we'd always, I think it's very common on features where you just get filtered the information through your soup.
Yep.
And I was just a minion at that point.
You're still wide-eyed going, oh, I'm working on this stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Was that was Rising Sun then on the lot down there at Sydney? I don't know where Rising Sun were, so...
No, we were just in these demountable things in front of some muddy cow pens that they were shooting Australia at the time, so there was just mud. I don't know if it's near the Morafay bit where I think they've got demountables there now. They're a little bit better though.
Oh.
But yeah, because Hugh Jackman was filming Australia still at the time.
Oh.
So yeah, he did come into the office one time though. In the Australia get up, and it was just covered in dust, and he'd just be like, hey, and just leave a big palm print on the chair. Very tall guy.
So that got you down to Sydney. From there, what happened after you were just working with Rising Sun? So then after Rising Sun, I started working at Animalogic, I think. Yeah, Animalogic. Yep. Yeah.
On doing previs again, awesome previs because I love it. On Guardians of Ga'Hoole. So that was my first feature animation job.
Yep.
The other one was VFX previs.
Yep.
And then I worked, it was a good 2 years at Animal, going from the previs department through rough layout through to final layout, and then through stereoscopic, and then did some work on the end credits doing After Effects little puppetry stuff. If you watch the Legend of the Guardians of the Owls of Ga'Hoole, you'll see at the end. It's really cute.
And that was the stuff you got to do in After Effects.
Yeah, so random. I was just like, I'll take anything.
How did you find them? Because Rising Sun, did both of those studios then have a big solid pipeline that you were working with that was very distinct and robust, or was it very much like a lot of previous places that I've gone, like when you're in the little shed at the front, everything's just kind of chaotic and you just kind of cram it together in mire and make it work?
Yep, that was Rising Sun's method, I guess. Just cram it together, just make it kind of thing. I think we're kind of off pipe. We weren't even connected to, because Rising Sun had their office in Surrey Hills.
Yep.
But we were working on a lot, kind of our own little sort of hub.
Oh.
And animal, I think we would, with the previous stuff, we'd make it up, but then we had to fit it into the pipeline. So by that stage, yeah, put it into the once I guess previous to layout,
Yep.
you need to fit it into the pipe once you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But previous like the rigs are, you're not working with finished assets a lot of the time.
Yep.
A lot of the time you couldn't reuse a lot of what you did.
Yeah.
We had the owls flapping like this, and then they changed the rig, and so the wings would be just, I don't know.
Rotation
Yeah,
angle would change, and then they're just flapping
something
upside
flipped.
down.
Exactly.
So once you actually got into after Guardians, because like you said, that was actually a big film that a lot of people seem to be attracted to that one and got to work on that. Did you
Yeah.
hang around Animal for long after that, or
I think I went on holiday,
a much
and then I
needed
came
holiday?
back. Oh, huh?
A
I'm
much
always on
needed
holiday.
holiday.
Well, you get these breaks between contracts, and you're like, well, may as well use my time, rather than waiting around for my next job. And what else? Probably, I think I came back to Animal, and I did a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh.
I think that was that time. Because I left and came back to Animal so many times. Yeah, I think I did the Super Bowl commercial. I was lead on that one for Kia Optima, a car ad.
Yep.
And they sent me over to LA and spent about 3 weeks there working under Andy Brown. And they gave me a guy over in LA as well to work with. And we smashed out this previs and tech viz kind of thing. They needed to shoot it. So they needed to know how fast, helicopters flying along. They had to stop the highway to let the car go through so they could film it.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that was good. And the director of that would sit next to me and make some changes. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was with Animalogic, and I was working out of the office in LA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I came back, and then I think Lego Star Wars, the Padawan Menace. That was the TV special that Animal first did before they got the Lego movies.
Movie.
After that.
Okay.
So David Scott directed that one as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it was really good to work under him because he's amazing. So yeah, and I think that followed the other Lego movies.
Yep.
The Lego movie, the Lego Ninjago movie, the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah, they did kind of run on. They had a good run there of just movies back to back to be able to work on for a period.
Yeah.
So
somewhere in there, I did The Great Gatsby. I did previs on Great Gatsby.
Oh, nice.
That was before the Lego movies. I don't know. I can't remember half the time. It's done heaps.
So, but you said you were jumping in and out, and you went back to Animal a lot of times. Like, were there other jobs that you or other studios you bounced in and out of that left your memory?
Yeah. So. Not that I would have stayed at Animal, but it just seemed like they just can't quite get that flow of project after project and just roll people from one to another. It just would go quiet. And then I just kind of find an opportunity elsewhere.
Yep.
I think Great Gatsby came up as well, which is really awesome to work. Got to go on set a few times as well.
Oh, yep.
It was previs and tech viz. And where else did I go? For Gods of Egypt as well. That was proof. And that was working under David Pearce. He was, really good to work under as well. And what else did I do? Oh, Flying Back. I forgot about Flying Back. I worked on Flying Back, Blinky Bill, so there were companies where if Animal is kind of my stable go-to. Like I really love the company, and they work, really nice people and that kind of thing. And whenever it gets quiet or it didn't look like that your contract was going to be extended, then that's when I would kind of look for other opportunities.
Yeah. And with that, you've kind of mapped out a really good, a structure of a career that you've kind of been able to forge. It's very much focused in the front end of production. What sort of skills do you think have been able to put you in really good stead to handle in that range of previs and layout?
You just got to work fast.
That's work fast,
Have
work clean.
I mean, you got to know your cinematography language. Just know how shots work. Movement and stuff, eye matching stuff. You just got to always be thinking about that cinema language when you're just constructing shots together, kind of thing. But I mean, with the stuff that I'm working on now, I mean, you've got the live plate. You're kind of locked into what you're looking at, generally speaking. Obviously, we have CG environments to integrate these live plates in. So then that's where you can change the camera angle and stuff like that. But it's kind of dictated by those above us. Not really. It's not that as free flowing as say previs on an animated film, where you can kind of just put the camera anywhere, just and make it awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories and where you've gone through and your experiences with everyone, Heidi. I really appreciate the time that you've got, and I know that you get to work so hard in studios and everything. So thanks again for sharing it. For the Anima-saurus world, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed Heidi's story. Make sure you leave us a like or any comments down below in the description. But until the next time, we'll say bye-bye.